Calling the meeting to order for this special City Commission meeting on this morning, December 30th, 2024. We'll have an opening prayer from Attorney Nevin Zimmerman, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance from Mr. Jonathan Hayes. Please stand.
Let us pray. Father, we're just so grateful for this day, one of our last meetings for this calendar year, as we look forward to next year and hopefully continued progress with the city as it continues to rebuild from Hurricane Michael. Thank you for your many blessings you've given us and an opportunity to enjoy our families. Bless this work, bless this day, this commission meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Rohan is unable to attend this morning. Commissioner Street?
Here.
Commissioner Halligus stepped out, but she is here. Commissioner Lucas?
Present.
Commissioner Granger?
Present.
So Mayor Pro Tem Lucas will guide the meeting this morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. We'll go next to audience participation. As a reminder, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. If you'd like to address us this morning, please come to the podium here in the center of the room. Please state your name and address for the record.
Morning, Derek Thomas, 1100 West 10th Street. The second thing on your agenda today is the 1.6 million for that pumps. It was the only other bid was 1 million for the estimated price, since I guess they're all the same pumps, unless I'm mistaken about that. So that one was rejected. So you're basically doing this with just one bid for 1.6 million. And all of the pumps are the same, but they're going into different parts of the city, and they're priced, between 57 and 85,000 a piece. The other bid was for 50,000 and 57,000 for some of them. So there seems to be a big difference in the prices that they're offering for that. And I hope you go into a little more detail about why you're only accepting one bid for something for $1.5 million and not waiting until you have more bids, and why there would be such a marked difference between the different bids. Also, the second to last thing, there's a house that you've decided to give them a variance for less than the 25-foot setback. For some reason, that's assessed at the property appraiser's level at $121,000 for a house on the water. Their dock has 7 boats. It's supposed to be for single-family houses. I don't know most families that have 7 boats at their dock. I think that the $121,000 is really not a accurate valuation setting on the property itself. So it's not surprising that they can get a variance to go and not abide by the same rules that everybody else has to, since apparently they don't have to pay the same taxes that everybody else has to. So I think that that's sort of inappropriate. So you're doing $8 million today, giving out $8 million on the second to last day of the year. I wonder, is this for this year, and that's why you're doing it now, and not for next year? And how is that going to affect our budget next year? Also, on a more personal note, I am close to St. Andrews, and I know that it doesn't involve today's business, but I brought it up a few months ago that the boat trailers, parking spaces have all been taken up by the people that you've given over control of the marina to. There seems to be, for the last month or so, absolutely no reason for those trailer spaces to be blocked. There is no legal place to park your trailer if you have a boat. So even though you left the boat ramp open, you can't use it because there's no place to put your boat trailer after you've launched your boat. And I hope that you would look into that. I know you've given over responsibility of that to them, but it's a shame.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
My name is Stephen Kickler. I'm representative for Hydro Service. We're the company that's providing the diesel pumps for the city for this project.
Do you have an
I-
address, sir?
Our office address is 23304 McAuliffe Drive, Robertsdale, Alabama.
Thank you.
Wanted to address some of the questions regarding the difference in pumps. There's a big difference in the equipment that is being offered. One of the biggest differences, there is a warranty bond that was required in the bid of 10%, which the other perspective did not offer, and it was required. That's one of the biggest difference, which is $153,000. The other parts, there's a big difference in the equipment that was offered, so I just wanted to address that.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hank Picken, 820 West Beach Drive. I know it's not on the agenda, but I'm here, surprise, surprise, to talk about the infamous path, because there are a number of open items that have been left over since our last meeting. On December 4th, I wrote a letter to Mr. Hayes asking that he answer 4 questions. And I addressed asked those same 4 questions at our last meeting. We've since received answers to 2 of those questions, but 2 of them still are unanswered. The biggest question that's there that's unanswered was fumbled around at our last meeting, and that is, how can the city be looking at the path and the gift or distribution of the road to the city as quote-unquote separate actions, which is exactly what is stated in the last report that was sent to the DOT. I have in my hand the opinion letter from Mr. Zimmerman about the ownership of that road. And in it, it states, in our opinion, that title to all property and easements needed for the above construction project is vested in the Florida Department of Transportation or Panama City. It doesn't say it's vested in Panama City. So that means it's not a separate action. And I think you need to address that as not, it is a separate action. The second question we had was, why was there not a meeting at the 90% completion level of the plans? If anybody wants to go back and look, in October of last year, when you applied for an extension on the time for this project, the excuse given was you wanted more input from the public. It's written in that request. And part of it was a promise, and there's a flow chart in there that shows that it would be presented in a quote-unquote FDOT-approved manner to the citizens at the 90% level. That was never done, and I want to know when it's going to happen and when we're all going to have an opportunity to review again at the 90% level. Last but not least, at our last meeting, Commissioner Street suggested that we have a separate meeting at some point in time on this path. I think that's a great idea if it's a meeting and not a kangaroo court. I think we should have an opportunity to have an adult discussion about this whole project and start talking about exactly where it stands and stop hiding the information.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Jennifer Bennett, 920 West Beach Drive. I'm surprised that there's a meeting today, a special commission meeting. I don't see any imminent crisis. I don't see any emergency You said there was only one meeting in November, and you lied. There was two. You said there was only one meeting in December, and you lied. Now we're having a second one. And neither one of those seemed to be that critical that we needed to have special meetings the Monday after a major holiday. So it just appears that you're pulling a fast one. None of the issues on the agenda today are anything that will be on the January agenda or follow-up from the first December meeting. So it doesn't give us a lot of confidence. So I'm back talking about West Beach Drive because, like Mr. Pickens said, you haven't given us the courtesy of actually having a real sit-down meeting. So here's my questions, again, because we're not going away. We do not support any destruction or construction whatsoever on the south side. Will you consider the north side? Mr. Hayes stated that at the last meeting they don't need a road transfer, that they can just do whatever they want on the south side with a permit from the DOT. I don't believe that's the case. We're all talking in the same circles. So I was also, it was mentioned to me by one of my neighbors that Mr. Hayes had told them directly that there is no road transfer. So I don't know if there is, if there isn't. I would like a status update on the DOT's road transfer, yes or no. Environmental permit status with the DEP, yes or no. Florida Wildlife Commission, Army Corps of Engineers, can you give a status on all of those permits requests? How much money has been spent to date? I know of approximately $1 million burned. How much is left? We never saw plans at 90%. I understand the 100% complete has been filed with the DOT, but Mr. Hayes also said that the plans would be tweaked. So do we have a real final? Can I see it? Where are we at with that? And is that again only for the south side? How much money was spent by Mr. Zimmerman's law firm in 2016 to research titles? And then again, on this round, because I've researched them myself, every single title, and I have different information than you do, or at least different from what's being reported publicly. And finally, at no time will I support any destructive infrastructure of any kind, water lines, water mains, utilities, anything underground, fire hydrants on the south side. That's my property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning?
Good morning, Brenda Lewis Williams, 1007 North Center Avenue, Panama City, Florida, 32401. I pray all had a Merry Christmas and I hope you have a Happy New Year. I'll start with that. Some kudos, if you will. MLK is coming along. It looks good. The Sears and the automotive, the store itself in the automotive place, we no longer have a rooftop patio up there. It has been clear. That's what I call it because the trees were growing up out of it. But it's clear and it looks good and clean. Now I have some concerns. Joe Moody Park being the first one. I've been told several times that there's money being allocated. I know it takes a minute to move it, but I have, as I told the city manager a couple of weeks ago, I have little children playing on my street, out in the street. They have to stop to let cars go by. When I was their age, yeah, we played in the street or in the parking lot or whatever, where we lived, but we shouldn't have to do that. There could be some temporary facilities put out there for those kids. The closest park for the children on this side of Harrison Avenue is Oakland Terrace, and that's not acceptable. I would like to know why there, as I call it my toodle doodling, I did on Friday, I believe it was, and I stopped by A.D. Harris and there's ping pong, table tennis going on. At one time I was pretty good at doing that, but that's not my concern. Why, if that group is permitted to use the gym at A.D. Harris, are not other organizations permitted to do the same thing, considering we do not have Martin Luther King Center in place at this time? I know a group, young cheerleading group called the Sapphires. They wanted to use the facility. They told them it would be close to $500 for a 2-day period. That's not acceptable. The other, I requested public information and I received an invoice to the tune of $450. Doesn't make sense to me. Absolutely no sense. Florida Statute 119 says that you can only charge, I believe it's 15 cents for a one-sided document, 20 cents for a two-sided document, which most of us don't do anymore. Everything is electronic. So, and I do know that the supervisor of elections office and the property appraisals office sends that information or those requests out at no charge. I've done it too many times over the past several years. I do not believe that this request, it could have been, but I do not believe that it was labor intensive, since all we have to do is plug in what we want and the computer pulls it up for us. My 3 minutes, oh, I would like some extra time, please.
Is there one who would move for extra time? How much extra time are you asking?
Minimum 2 minutes. I'll be finished probably before 2 minutes.
I'll move a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Mayor Lucas?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. I do not believe that that request was labor intensive. And the Florida Statute 119 suggests that for electronic transmittal of information, there usually is not a charge. If you haven't read it, go read it, because I did. And I would like for the HRP grant to be rescinded for A.D. Harris, because there's too many other needs within the community that grant can serve. And that's it. Told you it'd be less than 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Bernie Thompson, 8317 Front Beach Road. I can always be assured when I come here, I only have at best the second nicest hat in the room. So I figured I would follow Ms. Williams.
That's a good one.
What are you guys doing? Monday special meeting. What are you doing? Why are we doing this? Can I please make a public record request for the city's policy on what about special meetings? I've been covering the city spending all its money, and you may know that you've got your treasurer saying that there'll be no money left in the reserve fund at the end of the fiscal year in September, but y'all act like it's cool in the gang. I mean, you took a $150 million loan in the middle of 2023, $150 million loan. You told the news that you were going to use it for infrastructure. And some of you say, well, we've actually invested the $150 million and it's bringing us $5 million a year. But that's only half the story, isn't it? Because at best, that's a 3% interest return, but you're paying 6% on the loan. So you're paying $9 million a year to bring back $5 million a year. I'm an English guy, and that's a net loss. I can do that math. Man, that's unbelievable. And so now we have a special meeting to give tons and tons of money to your contractor friends, most of it for underground utilities. Who do you think they're going to subcontract? I bet I know. I bet it is Senator Jay Trumbull, who has T&S Construction Solutions, which is an underground utilities company. He started it last year. And as I've told you before, Jay Trumbull, he may know a lot about legislation now, but he knows as much about underground utilities as Joe Biden. I've told you this before. You know this is true. And that company caused so much damage to one of your pipes that it leaked how many hundreds of thousands of gallons of sewage into the community. And y'all are still acting like, what are you doing? I know why you've become more brazen since mid-December. At least I know some of you know about it. The only FBI agent who gave a damn has left. Right, Jonathan? And so I get why you'd be emboldened. But, and maybe you think it's twice as safe to keep doing what you're doing. But I'd suggest with changes coming, it might be not be twice as safe. It might be 10 times twice as dangerous. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public audience participation? Hearing and seeing none, public participation is closed. Mr. Hayes, would you respond?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. So first up was Derek Thomas. He had a question on 5 Bravo, and I know that Mr. Kickler said the same thing I would have said, that the pumps were not equal. That was what was determined by our lead engineers as well as the city utilities engineer in regards to those pumps. And yes, the commission did accept the request from the bidder, AAG, who wished to withdraw their bid. And y'all affirmed that. It was a reactive to the request by AAG to withdraw that bid. The item 5E, the consideration of approval to sign a letter of concurrence for the setback waiver for 110 North Center Avenue. I would need to defer to Mr. Zimmerman on that. His office was lead on that, and I believe the request actually came in through Commissioner Granger. I know that there was a prior waiver issued, I think 15 to 20 years ago, and there's a new owner now. But that's really all I know at this point. So, Mr. Zimmerman, if you want to weigh in additionally on that one, sir.
Sure, it'll be coming up later in the meeting, but this, Ken Hammonds, the prior city manager, signed a waiver. This is zone, I believe, MU3, and it is a minor marina. I think there were 7 slips or so. But the request was to renew that consent or concurrence, and that's why it has come to the city commission for action to determine your willingness to renew the concurrence that was granted 14, 15 years ago.
I know also the comment was about the value, but that was the just value. I have to, the assessed value would be something that would be different. In regards to boat trailer parking, I know that some of it was also taken up by Marshall Brothers for a project there on the lift station. That lift station was one of the projects that received some work there, so I'll follow back up on that. I was told there was some minimal impact to boat trailer parking, but not full impact. And again, second up, Madam Mayor, was Mr. Kickler with Hydro Services addressing their bid. It's part of the consent agenda for Project Area Q, which is equipment. Mr. Pickens spoke about the Beach Drive sidewalk and separate actions. I know I wrote a letter in May of last year to the FDOT. We, at the time, the city did consider it to kind of be together in the sense that they would transfer the road and then we would proceed with the project. That just seemed more practical, and they had agreed to that. However, they can be separate, meaning we can proceed, and I know I've addressed this multiple times in public. If they don't transfer the road, then they simply grant us a right-of-way permit, and they review and approve the plans, which is the process that is playing out now. Again, the 90% plans were displayed in the rotunda with opportunity for feedback. I don't have the exact dates that it was published or displayed, but we can get those and provide them again. There was the opportunity for that feedback. I know I provided the plans as well, both hard copy and email links to the full 100% design plans, and those have been with FDOT since mid-October. Next was Ms. Bennett. We only had one meeting in November. I'm not sure what now? Yeah, it was November 12th. This meeting happened because we had a couple of items that were under grants. And first off, just for the record, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, all of the items today are either ARPA funds or are CDBG funds. So this is all grant money, and we are under a timeline at a time we planned for this meeting. And rather than wait, because of when the December meeting fell and when the January meeting fell, there was almost a month in between. And we want to be able to this Thursday, January 2nd, give these contractors the go-ahead to get going on these projects. Again, because we want to get done with these projects and we want to move forward just as quickly as possible.
And if I may?
Yes, ma'am.
The ARPA funds have to be encumbered by the 31st.
That is
So
correct. Yep. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
this-
I forgot that. Thank you.
This is the deadline for the ARPA funds.
And then the transfer is still pending with FDOT, and I believe the DEP permit is pending. It should come at any moment, and then the Army Corps permit should certainly follow. And just as a reminder, we don't need the actual DEP permit, the ERC, for the actual project itself, the path itself. This is rather for the outfalls, which is just another word for those pipes that are right there on the shore along Beach Drive. We want to take those and rather just have stormwater just wash right into the bay. We're going to put in a type of system referred to often as a bay saver, where the sediment and the dirt and the debris is captured and not washed out into the bay. So nothing that would go out into the bay at all. It's just replacing all those pipes and putting in newer drainage inlets. The specific system we're going to use is the Barracuda system. Ms. Lewis Williams provided kudos on MLK in the demo on Sears. Both Joe Moody Harris Park, there was a grant received for that. And then also Bay Memorial Park, there's some funds and local community participation in that. Both of those are going to be spring and summer projects. Internal work and preparatory action is going underway now. But again, we hope for all those to be worked up in, again, spring and summer. And again, as a reminder, the piece of asphalt equipment we got, the, what was it called? The asphalt zipper. We're going to use that on both the trails at both Joe Moody Harris Park and Bay Memorial and be able to do some of that in-house. In regards to A.D. Harris and I guess there was a ping pong tournament or table tennis. That place is permitted to be used. It's programming. You can reach out to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department. And the fees are pretty set depending on the needs of staff and the level of support that is needed by the city for any public event. Just like any other facility can be used, the gym at A.D. Harris can be programmed. Mr. Thompson spoke last public records request, Madam Clerk, on our special meeting request policy. And then he provided input and his opinion on the $150 million loan and the Commission's actions moving forward. So those are the only comments I have, Madam Mayor, Commissioners.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett asked for the cost of Beach Drive. I will get that to you. I haven't got a response yet. And the title search from Burke Blue, we'll get those to you. Brenda Lewis Williams asked about the cost of her public records request. She's asked for 10 years of CRA contracts. So that's going to take some extensive research by staff to go back 10 years to find every contract that the CRA signed. So that's the reason why the cost was $450. I've asked for how many hours that is. I haven't got that answer back yet. I will. It should have been on your invoice. Did you get an invoice?
I did get an invoice, but unless I'm as the little people say, disremembering, I don't remember seeing that.
Okay.
I see hours invested.
It probably just says labor, maybe. I'll check into that for you. And Mr. Thompson, the policy on special meetings can be found on the city's website under services, public meetings, and rules of procedure. If you'll look there, you will find the document on the policy. You're welcome.
Jan, do you mind, since Bernie brought it up, hold on, Bernie. Since Bernie brought it up, do you mind explaining to him, because it was your suggestion about the loan, and do you mind elaborating on that a little bit?
Right. We went into a loan agreement with Truist Bank for $150 million to cover the cost of $300 million worth of grant projects. Because we knew we weren't going to need all of the funding up front, we'll spend it over the next 3 years. The bulk of it was invested in order for us to make some return and not just pay all the interest, but also make some return back so we don't, the city's not out $8.7 million a year, it's out $3 million because what I'm earning is about $5 million. Your numbers were nearly correct, so congratulations on that. But yeah, we're paying $8.7 million a year of interest in order to avoid the city incurring the full cost of that interest. It was invested in a secure, safe portfolio that will be liquid as needed. And it's earning about 5 to 5.5%. So there is still some cost to the city, but not the full $8.7 million load.
Make a public record request for that investment,
Certainly.
for maybe the latest statement or something. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to tell Brenda, I wanted to let you know that the Millville Waterfront Park, we just put like $300,000 brand new playground there with, it's like a ship and some other stuff. So I just wanted you to know that there's a new playground there.
This side ain't got nothing.
Okay, just
That's
wanted you to know. Yeah.
And that was 24 hours for your request, 24 labor hours
Okay.
at $20 an hour.
Commissioners, anything else on public participation?
I do think Jennifer had a couple more questions. Jonathan, is that something y'all are gonna find out when it was up in the rotunda? You answered the DEP, you're getting the money to date, and then then the south side and road transfer. Okay, I think that y'all caught everything. I just want to make
Okay.
sure.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, is there an item you'd like to pull from this agenda, or do I hear a motion to approve or deny?
On the motion, we approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the items on the consent agenda. Hearing no further discussion, please call for call the roll.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Mayor Lucas?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Commissioners, item 6A is consideration to approve Gulf Coast Underground, or GCU, through the commission-approved push-button contracts PC 24017 and PC 24018 to both camera and line 9th Street Gravity Main from Chestnut Avenue east to Drake Avenue in the amount of $147,966.80, and to approve the accompanying budget amendment resolution 2024-123.1. Relevant background information is enclosed in your packet, and staff recommendation through the Director of Public Works is that the Commission approve this request.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners,
A motion to approve.
is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve item 6A. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Mayor Lucas?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
I'd like to read Resolution 6. It's on item 6A, and it has to do with the contract that was just awarded.
It's a budget amendment.
Resolution number 2024-1230.1, a resolution providing for budgeting of state and local fiscal recovering funds.
Item 6B is consideration to approve Gulf Coast Underground, or GCU, through the commission-approved push-button contracts PC 24017 and PC 24018 to camera and line Sherman Avenue west to Maple Avenue Gravity Main in the amount of $103,873.60, and approve the budget amendment resolution 2024-123.0.2. Relevant background information is enclosed in your packet, and staff recommendation through the Director of Public Works is that the Commission approve this request.
Commissioners, is there a motion to approve or deny item 6B?
A motion to approve. I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve item 6B. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Commissioner Halagus?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Mayor Lucas?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Commission is approved. Resolution 2024-1230.2, a resolution providing for budgeting of state and local fiscal recovery funds.
Thank you. As we close this meeting, we wish each and every one of you and all of our citizens of Panama City and the surrounding areas a very happy new year and all that jazz. We thank you for your interest and your support. I want to especially thank the employees of the city for all the good work that you do to help us through this time and to get better. Commissioners, any further discussion? Happy New Year, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Meeting adjourned.